Hello, this is Todd Sherman from Eccentex, and I'm going to record a short demonstration by way of introduction to the HyperAutomation Cloud by Eccentex for Genesis. The HyperAutomation Cloud is actually a pretty comprehensive set of technology focused on our no-code, low-code platform, which has a lot of capabilities we're going to show you a little bit of today, and that is augmented by Eccentex.ai gateway, as well as our Eccentex.io application integration gateway. So very important here, the no-code, low-code approach really brings in a lot of different use cases and a lot of capabilities. And specifically, we're going to focus on a use case, which is Service Journey for Genesis. This is an application that's integrated with the entire Genesis ecosystem, including Genesis Cloud CX and Genesis Engage, both cloud and premise. So that said, there are, really 4 high-level roles that we can play for a Genesis customer, both front office and back office. So first, as the foundation of the platform, is the case and task management system. So this is a comprehensive workflow case management system, as well as a task distribution engine for Genesis. So we are able to generate cases and tasks from within our system, or capture cases or tasks from external sources for distribution to Genesis agents through our workflow engine. That is augmented by a capability, whether it's used or not, it's very modular, and that's our CRM or Service CRM model. So this is a highly personalizable CRM capability, as I'll show you in the demonstration. And then in addition, we do have an advanced email and secure messaging distribution capability. So if you have a secure message portal or messages that come from other systems, as well as standard traditional emails, we can deliver them not just to Genesis agents, but do some very advanced operations on them for workflow, front office and back office, as well as augmented by AI and machine learning capabilities. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we do also have a knowledge capability, and of course integrate with other knowledge capabilities as well. So these are the roles we can play for Genesis customers. And like I said, very importantly, all of this is built on a no-code platform. And I mentioned no-code, low-code, so we'll talk about 3 layers of personalization, with no-code, of course, being the most important. And it basically is exactly what you see on the screen, an entire layer of the platform that can be configured with drag and drop tools. And this includes pretty complex things like custom data models, as well as all the screens and forms and business rules. Everything you need to manage and change the system has a no-code layer for personalization and implementation, as well as making changes to existing solutions. Now, very importantly, the platform also has a low-code capability that allows you to go a little bit deeper and really personalize things in very interesting ways by writing overrides or implementing custom rules, so synchronous or asynchronous rules, and integration. So a lot of good use cases there. Now, this is very important for both the business and the technical role, because this means from a business perspective that you can really personalize the system to make it do and behave and look and feel the way you want. And it gives IT the tools to respond to those requests to personalize the system in a very fast and logical way. And then the next layer, of course, is the deep code layer, which is really the ability to extend the system in very low-level ways, writing custom integrations and C# rules. So no code, low code, deep code layers, all included in the platform, and obviously are very important from both a business and a technical point of view. So now we're going to go through and do some demonstrating, and we'll start with the CRM role and then move into some of the other roles that we introduced. Okay, so what we are showing right now is the unified desktop with Genesis Cloud CX and the Service Journey for Genesis application plugin. It is a premium app plugin, so it plugs into the menu. And in this view, you can see the overall Genesis desktop which enables me to go on queue and receive things like phone calls and in this case, emails or chats, social media, really any interaction that can be routed through Genesis is going to appear here and be augmented by Service Journey for those roles that we're serving as well. But typically what you see here is you log in, I can not only see the Genesis desktop, but I see the Service Journey landing page. And what this is really just a collection of applications and dashboard widgets that have been configured for your use case. So in this example, you can see I have a widget. I'm an email agent showing me some emails that I have on hold. So this obviously implies that in our system, we can take emails or work items or tasks and place them on hold. And we can do things like put a reason for on hold or put a due date, SLA on that, assign it to a team or an individual. So a lot of capabilities there. I can also see recent things I worked on. Now, these dashboards and widgets are just configured for each use case. So depending on my role, I might have a different dashboard or a number of different dashboards. And then along the left here, I have things that are applications that I can utilize based, again, on my role. So, for example, in this case, I can go out and search the system for different emails. And I can search on any field or element of the email, traditional ones like from and to, but also the content and the subject of the email and some personal fields that you may have as far as your specific use case, like an account number or an order number, etc. And I can see in this search that I not only have a listing of emails, but I can see which ones have unread emails, what their workflow status is, the to and the from, of course. And then for some of these, I can see there's due dates on them and SLAs. So again, this is just another widget that's configurable. And then I can also see here I have some actions that I can do, like pick up this email or close it, disconnect it, etc. I also have, for example, in this view, a team view of my organization. So which teams are working on emails or work items or cases. So I can see, in this case, different team views of items. I can see what we call a queue view. So this would show me a view of all queues in the system, and then what is the real-time status of all the work in those queues. So this is pulling up those statistics for us. And these queue views are not just statistical, but they're actually working drill-through dashboards. So in this case, I can see I have a number of items with different statistics that are in a certain queue, but down below I can actually, again, click right through into the emails. I can pick them up, transfer them, whatever roles and skills and security enable me to do. So again, these are just different widgets. I also have, for example, our CRM search or contact management system search. So I can come in and look for customer records, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. So depending, again, on the use case will depend on the various widgets that are available, and each use case will look different. So for example, if we're doing a sales lead use case, then I would see sales leads with the sales statuses relative to a sales use case. If I'm doing customer support, then my views and dashboards are going to have information and work items relative to my role as customer support. Okay, so now you can see that I am on queue. And again, depending on my skill and my role and my availability, I can receive new interactions. And so in this case, I'm actually going to receive a phone call. Let me put this on mute. And this inbound phone call operates just like you'd expect in Genesis. But in this example, we are providing a screen pop to come with the phone call. Now, what is it we're popping here? Well, what we're popping here really is a configurable item depending on our role. In this case, I'm popping up a sample CRM page, if you will. So in this case, I can see the customer that's called that's been identified either via their caller ID or via some IVR pretreatment. And I'm presenting this page to the agent, again, depending on the configuration. So in this case, again, I can see the customer, but I can also see some loyalty information about them. I can see some financial information about orders that they've spent on us in the last 12 months. I can click here, for example, and see all their sales orders. So what this is telling you or showing you is that this is our CRM page, but this CRM page is itself part of that no code, low code, configurable, and personalizable layer. Because in this case, the sales orders are not actually in my system, they're actually stored in another system. The financial information about all those orders is not necessarily stored in our system, but could be pulled from another system. So in here, for example, you can see I can click through to the fulfillment system and see the FedEx shipping status of an order. So what does this imply to you? Well, this implies that this desktop, our unified desktop, has been personalized to be like a portal for your other systems, as an example. So I can see not only things in our systems, but I can see things in your other systems, and I can provide a click through to the other system. So for example, if I click on this, it might open up the core system. So this ability to integrate and personalize is really key for our CRM approach, because it allows you to develop this type of unified desktop. And the same can be said in the opposite direction. Our widgets and information could be pulled into another desktop. Or in this case, I could actually iframe information. So for example, I could have a page here that's actually an iframe of customer system. So really you can look at these pages as a canvas for you to personalize and implement exactly to your use case. The CRM page that I'm presenting here can also be dynamic depending on the type of person that's calling, whether it's a supplier or a customer. Could be displaying completely different information. Now, in this case, of course, you see that I have a customer here and I have things like sales orders. I can also see their case 360, all their cases and complaints. You can see here inquiries that have come in. This phone call will be tagged to those cases. So if somebody calls to inquire about this complaint, this phone call will be tagged to it from an analytics point of view. And the same thing goes with all other types of interactions. So here I can see all the emails of the customer. I can see all the real-time interactions like phone calls. Here's a SMS message. I can really see all communications with the customer unified in this desktop. All these interactions that are viewed here are automatically connected with Genesis, for example, but there could be other interactions in other systems that you want us to present here or track with your customers. So all of this, of course, can be integrated with from API level. Some other things that you can see here, for example, off to the right, I have the ability to categorize the call. So in this case, I can have a script or a set of drop downs that lead me through categorizing the interaction. It is interesting to note that you can do more than one categorization. So we can do a one-to-many model rather than having a single wrap-up code type concept. Here you can also see a little tab called offers. So in this case, I'm showing the idea of suggesting offers to the customer for the agent. And these offers, again, could be managed from our system or another system like Adobe Marketing or a customer's core system. So, and again, these are just widgets that can be placed anywhere. So you can see here, it's also over here as well. And here, for example, we have a calendaring widget to look at things from a calendaring point of view. So all of these widgets are just part of our CRM system, and they can also be custom widgets as well. But here, for example, again, I can go ahead and categorize a call. And as I'm helping the customer, the system can start prompting knowledge-based suggestions. And this is just a sample pop-up, but they can be embedded suggestions or other types of agent experience. I can also, of course, go browse or search in the knowledge base. So here you can see we have a knowledge base widget. We have another one here. So again, these are suggestions. We can also create cases from here. So let's say, for example, the customer is asking for a refund. And so as we go through and make that script or categorization, the system also would script or present to the agent the additional information needed to initiate a refund request in this case. So, and again, this is just a simple example, but the user experience here is configurable depending on your use case. Now, the nice part here, for example, I can not only initiate a refund request, but I can tie it directly to the customer's specific order. So again, because all these are connected, it really makes the business process, the analytics, and of course, the agent experience very efficient and very helpful. Now, if I was to go ahead and categorize this call and create this complaint, then this complaint would then go off into a workflow process which would either help the agent resolve the complaint on first call resolution or route this to some other personnel in your office or back office personnel or even third-party vendors, for example. So the whole workflow case management component really can have a simple path or something more complex, again, depending on your use case. And I'll show you that here shortly. So in addition to that, you can see I have some action buttons. So again, these are all personalizable. So I click on this button to search all the orders in the system. Again, this could be our system. It could be your system that we're popping another tab or an iframe. So all of that can be personalized here for the screen. And then all the Genesis controls, whatever would be needed, are going to be included here as well. So you can see here I can disconnect, transfer, etc. So if I'm done with this phone call, I can go ahead and disconnect, and I will move on to the next part of the demonstration. Now, it is important to realize that this is omni-channel. So any type of interaction that comes into Genesis, be it a chat, be it an SMS or a social media channel, is going to have the exact same experience, except for the fact, of course, our system is going to know the media is different, and we may have a different user experience depending, again, on the outcome or the initiation of that chat or SMS. All right. Okay, now we're going to look at email and task routing a little bit. This demonstration is not intended to dig into the technical aspects of how all this is configured, and be happy to have a separate demonstration for those topics. But I did want to show you a little bit about how our system is constructed when it comes to these business use cases. So, for example, in our system, we have a concept called case types, and these are your different use cases. So in this demonstration, you can see I have the email use case, but I also have complaints. I also have, delivery workflows and refund workflows, payment workflows, etc. So each of these are a use case, and each of these has its own unique data model, its own forms, its own pages and workflows and tasks and procedures. All of them can be initiated by agents. All of them can be initiated by automation within our system, like an email to case concept or an IVR to case concept. And they can also be initiated via API or IoT devices for initiating processes and tasks that need to be delivered to either agents or back office personnel. So, for example, here in the complaint use case, I can have a workflow, a procedure, a data model, and I'll just show you briefly the concept of how that works. So here's the workflow designer for complaints, and you can see that it has a happy path of new to in process to closed, but it is also possible it does need to take some side trip to the back office, or maybe be put on hold for the third-party seller or even the customer. So all of these possibilities are designed into the process. And then you can see there's a bunch of little widgets for SLA timers, and I can execute API calls. So I can drag out a function out here to initiate an API. All the Genesis routing widgets are here as well. So if this is a task routing use case, I can drag that out here and say, okay, the back office is on Genesis Cloud, and we're going to send this task to them. So in summary, that's how these work. And you can see this also applies to, for example, email. Email in our system, of course, has a standard path, like most email, but it also has the ability to be personalized for your use case. Again, using this tool, drag and drop, and set up all the custom forms if you want, and go ahead and implement that. So that said, I now am going to go on queue, and I'm going to receive some work items. And it looks like my first work item here is going to be a task. So what does that actually mean? In our model, we can route tasks to agents just like emails or phone calls or any other type of work item. So in this case, I'm getting a task that is connected to a complaint. And you can see here that the customer filed a complaint via phone call about a canceled order. I can see the description or summary of their complaint. I can also see, in this example, the details of the order connected to the complaint, again, through the integration capability that we have. Now, we can also see that this is in the back office stage, so I am a back office worker. And I can see a note here from the front office worker that, has made a little note for me internally to do whatever it is I need to do. Now, everything here again is part of that canvas. So I can see any emails that are connected to this case. In this example, there are none, but I could send an email. Okay, and I'll come back to that. I might be able to see if it's related some documents, maybe some pictures, any tasks. I can see the entire history. So this is a journal, any interactions connected to this. So any inbound, outbound phone calls. And then, of course, in this example, the current survey. Internal discussions, I can link to the CRM components. So here I can see that the customer is this person, Max, and I can click right into their 360-degree view and see everything about Max, including all their cases and emails, etc. So this is the concept of task routing. Now, again, based on that workflow I showed you, and based on the canvas that we use to design the screen, will depend on what tools I have available and what I can do here. In this example, I can just go ahead and close this, and I can pick a resolution, but all of this could be personalized for the use case. So, for example, a complaint about a product could have its own outcomes versus a complaint about a person could have its different outcomes, so on and so forth. Okay. So again, depending on what I do here will depend on what happens next in the workflow. So I'm just going to go ahead and say this was resolved and go on to the next interaction. So that's the concept of task routing. And in this case, again, the task was a complaint. And just to remind you that these type of work items can come really from any source. Manually initiated or through APIs or imports or IoT devices. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and disconnect and get my next work item. And in this case, you can see the next work item is actually an email. And in this case, the email is a service journey email. So it means that it's created a service journey email case. And presented to the agent here is, again, another canvas. And because it's an email, it's going to have some standard components, like, of course, the content of the actual email. But it also, again, could have a number of custom widgets, like, again, access to the knowledge base, the ability to take this email and create a complaint out of it or an inquiry. So we can do an email to case here with the agent. And again, any other tools or integrations that we need to give to the agent to be able to handle this email. We can also see up along the top here, I have some action buttons. So I can go ahead and close this. I can park it and put it on hold, transfer it to somebody else, mark it as spam, etc. So again, these are all just actions that are configured and part of the workflow. All right, so now what do we see here? Well, we see an email. In this case, it's showing me an SLA timer. I can see that the team that's responsible for it right now is the front office, and I am the agent working on it. I can also see, for example, here are some personal elements or tags or fields that have been added. So what brand is this email about, for example? What market, what language, what's the current sentiment? And then, of course, I can see the actual content of the email. So what am I looking at here? Well, what I'm looking at here is a little demonstration of Eccentex.ai applying some intelligence to this email by identifying some certain things. Number one is the sentiment. In this case, the urgency. Why is it urgent? Well, because they want to get it by November 17th, which is just 11 days from now. I can see the language. I can translate this to another language. I get a summary of the email. I also get some other things here like tags or topics. So our system has identified various topics, and you can see they're highlighted in a certain way in this demo. It's also done some things like PII detection. So you can see there's some items here that have been masked for the agent. In this case, for demo purposes, we're showing there was actually a credit card number that the person put in the email. So applying the content rules from Eccentex.ai, we're able to do quite a few interesting things. Number one, topic detection can be very important. Also identifying PII. And with topic detection, it's then been routed to the correct person to work on. And of course, because of sentiment analysis, we could prioritize this communication or task in a different way. All right. So in addition to the content, you can see down here, I have a little widget showing me other emails related to this customer. So this is a configurable widget, in this case, showing me could be related emails, potential duplicates, everything that they've said in the last 3 months, whatever the rules are. And this is nice because then we can drill down and look at the other emails that the widget is presenting here and actually action them as well. So in this case, of course, I'm just going to work on this email, but that's a nice widget. All right. What can we do from here? Well, number one, we can do pretty much the standard stuff like you expect. I can reply all forward. I can send start a separate conversation about this email. So a great example of this is I want to send a message to, for example, a third-party seller. And I'm going to say, put party here and send this. Now, what I'm doing, you can see I've actually started a separate conversation. I've started 2 conversation threads in the context of this case so that I can communicate with all the parties for this issue. Okay. Now, if any of these parties respond, they'll come back into this case and route them back to the agent based on rules like preferred agent, etc. So that's number one. So, and you can see it does disconnect me. I can just go ahead and continue. Now let's look at this email. And again, we have standard features like reply. Now, what's happened when I went to reply here is quite a few things. Number one, the system is picking a template that it thinks I should have based on some rules. Maybe add a signature here. It will also suggest some snippets. So in addition to this standard template, I have a set of snippets here I could copy into the email, and they can be dynamic with URLs, so on and so forth. I can, of course, go pick a template, and based on business rules, it'll show me the list of templates that I should have examples, access to. And these can be more intelligent based, again, on brand, market, language, so on and so forth. So, for example, if I want to pick this template, I can go ahead and do it. It's a predefined template. Okay. What else is being shown here is the concept of generative AI. So if you remember, this email was really 4 different topics and also a question about getting it on the product at a certain time. So what our system has done here is it's basically recommended a summary response to this customer. Now, this would sometimes, of course, be hidden, but for demo purposes, we're showing it here. So I can go ahead and say generate reply. It's actually going to generate a more detailed reply with an answer to all the questions. And in this case, apply some business rules to check to see if we can get it shipped in time. And it basically says that we can. So this is a great example of generative AI. Now, obviously, this is a great agent tool, but a lot of great use cases for using this in an automated way to do some auto responses to customer and implement some email bots as well. So a lot of capabilities there. Now, I can also come up here and personalize the response and, also, provide the weather or whatever. So whatever I want to instruct the generative AI engine is what will be part of the answer. And again, the system in this case has recommended a response, but I'm going to go ahead and take this out. But in this case, I can personalize it and it'll go ahead and attempt to find an answer to that question or push that answer in there as well. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close this email and I'll get one more. And that will end the demonstration about email and task routing. Now, this one is just another email, but in this case, can show some information about generative AI for something that's just sourcing the answer from publicly available information. So here we can see that the customer mentioned that they ordered something from eBay.com and they'd like to know how to return it. So in this case, the system is going to go ahead and recommend a response in short form, and I'm going to go ahead and generate the reply. And it's gone out. It's actually given a pretty accurate response. Go to your purchase history on eBay, blah, 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 or you contact the seller directory to see if they have some return instructions. So without any instructions from us as part of this demo, in this example, it just used publicly available information and provided a solid answer to this communication. And of course, these capabilities can apply to multiple channels. So email is just a great way to demo this as well. Now, lastly, here again, you can see, the journey data. So I can see all the history, statistics of these emails. So this email has, only one interaction so far. I can see any tasks that might be associated with this. So because, again, we have a case task model, I could actually add tasks here and assign it to a back office group or some other person to work on, even a third-party seller. And then here's an example for if I wanted to iframe something. So this is just our website iframed into this page. So that gives you a good view of email, task routing, CRM, and a little bit of knowledge base. All of this, of course, importantly, is integrated with Genesis, the various versions of Genesis. But because of the no-code, low-code layer, is very personalizable and very adept and well suited for integration with other systems and, of course, customer systems to provide your agents a great way to work on items and resolve customer issues. Thank you very much, and happy to have a follow-on demo where we dig more into the back end and the technical aspects of the HyperAutomation Cloud for Genesis.